Hello. I still can't see my chats. Hey guys, welcome back. First I'd like to apologize for my intermittent postings. Before it was computer problems. Now we've kind of sorted it out, but hopefully I'll be uploading on a regular basis. Now I'm using YouTube to do this live, so I'm not able to see the chats, unfortunately. Hidden chat. But I did want to at least give you a kind of a preview. I'll be doing a video on this later, but I just wanted to show you the terrain in which I developed how to forefoot walk. And as you can see, I'm able to walk out here quite easily because it's something I'm used to. When I grew up in Jamaica, when I first arrived, I had heeled shoes, Nike Air Maxes, and most of the roads were like this, in which the kids played, and roads like this led to the beach, and you'd never wear sneakers to the beach because sand would ruin them. So you'd have to walk barefoot to the beach. I mean, it makes sense, but what didn't make sense was how I was walking. And I would always start like this and then end up like this because of the pain, the sensation. Any of these sharp rocks could ruin your day when stepping on them. And if you're trying to get somewhere, you can't just slowly land and then take your time. You actually have to have a pace to you. And so people who were living there, the locals, I became a local after that, but the locals said, no, you don't land like that because of the small surface area. You land on the forefoot. And the forefoot, of course, not only has a larger surface area, but it has a dynamic mechanism that allows for that. There is no such mechanism for the heel. And the degree in which the heel moves is still not enough in order to absorb the impact of jagged edges such as these. But what you'll find is that you can land, let me take a rock like this, you can stick it into the ground, not too far, not too deep, and you can place your foot, and the forefoot will actually conform around it. Now, something as high as that is not as pleasant, but the idea that the forefoot can actually conform and allow to dampen that impact is monumental in comparison to landing on that same stone right there and landing on your heel. You'd never do that. If you saw that jagged edge, you would try to avoid that if you were going to heel strike. And this is the basis of why I advise for the forefoot step. You see, out there in the back where there's grass and soft soil, you may be able to get away with a slow, graduated step onto the heel. But in regards to our surfaces now, they're mostly concrete. In fact, it's all concrete. And so if you're dealing with a surface that has no yield and you're landing on it on a repeated base, then you're going to need a thicker cushion. And that's what we've seen. People or manufacturers have added more and more padding in order to mitigate the unyielding surface of concrete. But as you are wearing barefoot shoes, as I hope, you'll notice that the forefoot strike allows for you, your own body, to yield. And that's what you want. You want your foot to actually become the dampening mechanism instead of depending on the surface having dampening or cushioning in it. So this is one of the reason, in fact, it's the major reason why we've seen the incremental size in cushion for shoes. Now, I'm not here to advise people who are wearing those things. They are detrimental in all the ways that I've mentioned in previous videos. The narrowness, to this day, podiatrists still refuse as a whole to acknowledge that it is the shape of these shoes that are causing bunions. They still say it's inconclusive when you can clearly see that the foot is conforming to the shape of the shoe and causing not just the bunion, but a change in gait pattern. So now a person will step off and out, and that will exacerbate the development of that bunion. And it's just simple things like these that, when habitually done, cause injury. You can get away with even a heel strike on this surface 1 or 2 times, but one of these rocks, one of these, are going to ruin your day. That's guaranteed. And so what you want to practice when you're in terrain like this is to have supple hips, supple knees, supple ankles, and landing on the forefoot. Now, at no point am I telling you to slow down your pace. I can walk as fast as possible out here, and you notice how I'm walking. I don't have an issue walking out here. I'm not even looking at my feet. Now, how many people who are putting up videos of how to walk barefoot or how to walk, do you see them walking on a surface like this? How many of them do you see? Most of them are wearing cushioned shoes and telling you how to walk. The cushion ruins your telemetry. The cushion brings your heels up here and your gut out here, your center of gravity. If you understand that this center of gravity is the reason that you either have good mobility or not, this is the center point. It's not just called that because of its relation to gravity, but because the way that it allows your body to respond, to move. The best athletes, the best movers, we're not talking about the mentality of an athlete. We're talking about their movement ability. You know, when people bring up a lot of times in my videos about goiter, about fascia, when they bring up those systems, they don't understand what the core of that is. The core of that is exactly the core. And I'll go into it in further videos, but you have to understand that if you ever see my lower abdomen, or look at a gymnast's abdomen, or look at a trained mover's abdomen, Barry Sanders' abdomen, it always comes in. And if you're wearing heel shoes, or you have developed through a childhood of wearing heel shoes, your center of gravity has been pushed forward. And everything that you do after this, especially the hip hinge, will become an issue. This is why you have knee pain. Knee pain is psoas related, but not in the way that they're telling you. You see that if your psoas runs right into the thigh, into the femur, or we'll stop with the technical terms. We're going to take the psoas, which is on your backbone, your spine, and we're going to bring it to the thighs. If you are jutting out like this, you're aggravating your psoas every time. And this is also where people get this hip impingement, hip dysplasia. If only you knew that your hip surgery was absolutely unnecessary, outside of damage, outside of direct injury. If you've done it because of just your daily usage, if you understand that if you've ever used a desk or at your counter washing dishes, and you've ever rested your pelvis, that is a sure sign that you are hyperextending and that you're going to cause damage, because that carries over into how you sit, because you're going to also have this flopped, distended belly when you sit, and this portion, while sticking it out, creates havoc when it's time to sit down. And that's why many people cannot understand what a hip hinge is supposed to look like. In future videos, we're going to touch these bit by bit, but first I will have to address breathing, because that is the cornerstone of tackling the, how would you say it? It is the cornerstone of tackling the societal problem that we're facing with the distended stomach. Okay, leaving this out is going to ruin everything. And in my video on forward head posture, that is one of the key points that I try to show, is that if you understand the importance of keeping this taut to develop your transverse abdominis, which is your TVA, you can consider your natural waist belt. In fact, somebody left a comment saying, how do you fix hunchback issues? One of the best ways, the easiest ways, is to develop abdominal extension capabilities, to be able to control your abs. That will keep that hunch from happening. This hunch that happens is from a deflated abdomen because your core is not strong enough to actually support. You see, the core is exactly that. It is the core of all your movement. If you understood that your pelvis is the equivalent to the mitochondria, if the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, the pelvis region is the powerhouse of all of your movement. I wish I could see comments, but I'm just going to have to show you that I walk through this with no issue. And while I do that, I'll try to reach certain issues that I've received in the comment section from the past video. Another issue that that was asked was about sleeping, pillows. When it comes to pillows, again, all of these things are nuanced. How are you sleeping? Of course, I advise never to sleep on your stomach. You should either sleep on your side or your back. But again, in further videos, I'll try to create a cohesive video on that topic. In regards to hunchback, your abdominal ability, if you can practice stomach vacuums and develop your proprioception to your core, you can alleviate much of your back issues. And don't mind me, I am kind of leaning over because the phone is lower than I am. I'm trying to keep my feet in frame. See if I can get some videos up on here. So I really felt the need to have this live because I saw a video of again, people are talking about forefoot walking, talking about heel striking being the natural way, but no one ever presents any nuance. Most of the reasoning behind walking on heel striking is that we've always done it that way, which I think is a specious bit of logic because we don't really understand if this is just tradition. If heels were created for the use of riding horses using stirrups, then now that we're no longer riding horses en masse, why are we still wearing heels? These are the issues that I'm facing in the comment section when I have to deal with why certain things are natural and what's not natural. And in regards to what indigenous people are doing, I don't think we have seen a true depiction of indigenous people since the 1800s. The people who you see, I'm not going to say they're cosplaying, but they are exposed to the greater world and they've just chosen to live a certain lifestyle. It doesn't mean that they have not exposed themselves to certain manners of walking. Even the Amish now have cell phones and technology. So you have to understand that everyone has been inundated by societal terms. Okay. Yeah, you know, I have 21 people in here. If I could get the likes up. I'm sorry I cannot read the comments. I'm going to figure out what's wrong with that, but in the future, I'll have the comment section so I can answer some of your questions, because a lot of people are asking questions that I'd love to answer in a more dynamic fashion, hence this live. So this is, if you're just joining now, this is how I learned how to forefoot walk on surfaces like this. In Jamaica, we call it a marl road. They're not as jagged as this, but many are. And if you're gonna heel strike on something like this, you're in for a tough time. Now, what you should think about, especially when it comes to terrain like this, is not even so much whether it's forefoot or heel. you know where I stand on that already, but you want to talk about how do you articulate the foot in the manner that you would articulate your hands. You see, this is not a flat surface. You need to actually be able to grab the ground. And through that grabbing of the ground, you'll develop the mobility in how to traverse land like this. Okay, so it's not about no matter what, I have a flat hand, no matter where. It's about how do I conform the foot to the surface as it exists, as it exists. And you will never get a chance to do that with a heel strike. The calcaneus bone has no give. And how people try to mitigate this pressure sensation that they're having is that they're kicking outwards. And that also has to do with also the abdomen position, but we'll discuss that later. The reason is they're kicking outwards because they're trying to get more surface area. The heel is too small to actually burden the weight onto the floor. It's too small of a surface area at high impact. And people will try their best to avert the pain. And that makes sense. I can understand that. And they're going to buy thicker shoes, and they're going to buy walking shoes, which are just stilts. And they're going to lose their ability to actually articulate their feet. It's not just about foot strength. There's no strength that I'm displaying here of my feet. This is about mobility and articulation. And it would behoove you at home to get a bag of stone and practice walking on it and desensitizing the sole of your foot. After a while, you'll find that walking on something like this is second nature. And you'll adjust how you walk appropriately, because I don't want you to diminish your speed. If you're doing 10,000 steps a day, it cannot be done if you are gently Tai Chi stepping. The Tai Chi step is not going to work if you're trying to accomplish cardiovascular goals. You're walking for the intention of the exercise of walking. It's not going to help you. In this manner, I can walk as fast as I normally would with any type of shoe, without hesitation. How many people have been able to show you? In fact, I know no one has been able to show you heel striking on a surface that looks like this. No one. Not barefoot. And there's a reason why the forefoot strike accommodates this type of terrain, because it allows me to use my body's innate dampening system. It takes the shock out of the step. I no longer have to stiffen the leg as support in order for me to lean over it to then start the next stride. I can incorporate my core. I can raise my foot. I can lower it on the lowest part of my foot. You see, as I rest this foot, look at the lowest part. That's all I do. I just drop that foot. I don't have to worry about anything else. I just drop this foot. I raise this foot. And I incorporate an angle that will get me to walk at the speed that I deem necessary. I change the speed by the angle. And that's why sprinting is really an ability to lean as far forward and be able to recover from stride to stride. And that's why the impact is so great. See, when you're dropping and you're raising the leg all the way down and you engage your glutes, it's a hammer into the ground, and you can develop great speed by coordinating your ability to drop that hammer into the ground and not collapse and fall on your face. All right, guys, it's just a quick live. I haven't done one in about 5 months. I hope you guys found something useful. It was a bit of a rant, but I just wanted to get some things clear and off my chest. And hopefully you found some use out of this live. All right, thanks for watching.